When people ask me how I learn English, they usually expect me to give them a secret. They want a shortcut. They want one technique, one app, one course, one magic formula that will suddenly make them fluent. But let me tell you something. Most people do not fail to improve their English because English is difficult. They fail because they are practicing the wrong thing. I meet many people who say, Jack, I want to speak English fluently. I ask them, how much English do you listen to every day? They become silent. Then I ask, how much English do you read every day? Again, silence. And then they tell me they want to improve speaking. This is like saying you want to play beautiful music without listening to music. It is like saying you want to cook a great meal without ever tasting food. Speaking is not the starting point. That surprises many people. They think speaking creates speaking. No. Listening creates speaking. The words you speak tomorrow are being collected by your ears today. When I was young, I was not born into an English-speaking environment. Nobody around me spoke English. I did not have foreign teachers. I did not have online courses. I did not have smartphones. What I had was curiosity. Every morning, I would ride my bicycle for a long distance just to meet tourists. I wanted to hear real English. Sometimes I understood very little. Sometimes I understood almost nothing, but I kept listening. Day after day, month after month, year after year. Most people underestimate what happens when they listen consistently. They think progress should be visible immediately, but language grows quietly, just like a tree. You don't see it growing every day. Yet one day, it becomes taller than you imagined. Many English learners become frustrated because they focus only on the moments when they speak. They judge themselves during conversations. They judge their pronunciation. They judge their grammar. They judge every mistake. But they forget that speaking is only the visible part of the process. The invisible part happens long before the conversation begins. It happens when you listen. It happens when you read. It happens when you expose yourself to English over and over again. The brain is always collecting patterns, even when you think nothing is happening. Let me ask you a simple question. Why can you understand much more English than you can speak? Think about that. Many learners understand movies. They understand videos. They understand podcasts. But when somebody asks them a question, they suddenly freeze. The problem is not intelligence. The problem is not vocabulary. The problem is that speaking requires instant access. Your brain knows the words, but it cannot find them fast enough. Why? Because you are still translating. You hear English. You translate it into your native language. You create an answer in your native language. Then you translate it back into English. That entire process takes time. And during that time, confidence disappears. This is why I always tell people that one of the most important skills is learning to think in English. Not just speak English, think in English. The day you begin thinking in English, something changes. You stop carrying the extra weight of translation. You become lighter, faster, more natural. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Jack, how can I think in English if my English is not good? Very simple. Start small. When you wake up in the morning, look outside and think, today looks sunny. When you drink coffee, think, this coffee is too hot. When you are tired, think, I need some rest. Do not worry if your sentences are simple. A child learns language through simple thoughts. You can do the same. Fluency is not built through complicated sentences. Fluency is built through thousands of simple thoughts repeated every day. Many people wait until they become confident before they start speaking. That is another mistake. Confidence does not come first. Action comes first. Confidence comes later. I have started businesses without confidence. I have given speeches without confidence. I have entered rooms where I felt completely unprepared, and yet I moved forward. Because confidence is not something you find. It is something you build, brick by brick, action by action. The same is true with English. You don't become confident and then speak. You speak and become confident. That is the order. Every learner wants to avoid mistakes. I understand. Nobody likes feeling embarrassed. Nobody enjoys saying the wrong thing. But let me tell you something important. Your mistakes are evidence that you are learning. If you never make mistakes, you're probably staying inside your comfort zone. And comfort zones are very dangerous places. They feel safe, but they slow your growth. Imagine a child learning to walk. The child falls many times. Nobody says, "This child is terrible at walking." Nobody laughs. Nobody expects perfection. Falling is part of learning. Why should language be any different? Every mistake teaches you something. Every awkward conversation teaches you something. Every misunderstanding teaches you something. Success leaves clues, but mistakes leave clues too. Sometimes even better clues. One thing I notice about successful learners is that they take responsibility for their own learning. They do not wait for teachers to save them. They do not wait for perfect conditions. They create opportunities. This is what self-learning really means. Self-learning does not mean learning alone. It means taking ownership. If you only practice when someone tells you to practice, progress will be slow. If you practice because you have decided to improve, progress becomes much faster. Today, you have tools that my generation never had. You have videos, podcasts, audiobooks, language apps, online communities, artificial intelligence. You carry more learning resources in your pocket than entire schools once had. The challenge is no longer access. The challenge is discipline. Many people collect resources. Few people use them consistently. The difference is enormous. Let me share something interesting. I have met people with incredible talent, and I have met people with average talent. Very often, the average person wins, not because they are smarter, not because they are more gifted, but because they continue when others stop. Consistency is a superpower. Most people are looking for intensity. They want to study 5 hours today. Then tomorrow, they're exhausted. And next week, they quit. I prefer consistency. 30 minutes every day. 1 hour every day. Small actions repeated for years. That is how real transformation happens. If you want to improve your English, create habits that are impossible to ignore. Listen while walking. Listen while commuting. Listen while exercising. Read a page before sleeping. Speak for 5 minutes when you wake up. Make English part of your life instead of a separate activity. The more naturally it fits into your day, the longer you will continue. Now let me talk about something many learners struggle with. Practicing alone. Some people say, "Jack, I don't have anyone to speak with." I understand. But let me ask you another question. Do you really need another person every time you practice? Not always. Some of the most effective practice can happen when you are alone. Talk to yourself. Describe your day. Explain your plans. Tell stories. Answer imaginary interview questions. Pretend you are teaching someone. Pretend you are giving advice. At first, It feels strange. I know, but so does every